NASCAR's offseason has certainly been a busy one, what with roster changes, the continued development of their next gen car. But my first guest this week has been at the epicenter of what I think arguably is NASCAR's biggest gamble since 1959 when Big Bill France hosted the very first Daytona 500 on his newly constructed Daytona International Speedway. Now, he's the president of Southern California's Auto Club Speedway, but has also been in charge of transforming the LA Memorial Coliseum into that bull ring where they'll run the Busch Light Clash this weekend. Dave Allen, welcome inside the wind tunnel, my friend.
Well, Jack, good to see you, bud. I appreciate you having me on. It's been a while since you and I have seen each other. You look great.
Well, thank you. Also, right back at you. Look, you've got to feel right now like you're drinking water out of a fire hydrant. Already, you're trying to prepare Auto Club Speedway for a return to action during the West Coast swing after the Daytona 500. And then all of a sudden, your bosses call you up and say, hey, we got this idea, and we're going to put you in charge of the clash at the LA Memorial Coliseum. I want to focus on that because that's up front in just a couple of days. So how has it gone? Are we ready for something that we've never experienced before?
Well, first and foremost, when they told me about this concept, I was stoked. I grew up around the short tracks. Yeah. I'm a dirt track guy. I'm a short track guy. Even though I've run, a big 2 mile oval the last 22 years. So, or at least run it the last 7 years, but been at the track 22 years. So, the idea of running in the Coliseum is such a cool concept. I mean, it's not new. Obviously the racing has been going on there for a long time. You can look back to midgets back in the 40s that they ran there, on the track and the board tracks of Southern California. A lot of people forget how rich we are in racing history here in Southern California, whether it be Ontario Motor Speedway, Riverside, Ascot Park, which all places you are familiar with. But, the idea of running in the Coliseum, bringing our form of racing, bringing NASCAR Cup racing to the LA metro area and to such an iconic, arguably the most iconic piece of historical landmark that we have in LA, has been a tremendous undertaking and a tremendous honor to be able to be allowed to do what we're doing in there and laying asphalt down and creating a racetrack that we can go door to door on.
Yeah, once we're done visiting, Harold Osmore, who has kind of assumed the role of the unofficial Southern California historian, is going to join us here in the wind tunnel. But let me circle back because I called it the boldest venture that NASCAR has ever undertaken since Bill France came up with the lame idea, at least in some people's minds, of hosting a stock car race on a 2.5 mile high bank super speedway. Is this a signal, Dave, in your opinion? Because as you just alluded to, your resume runs deep. You're a racer, a race fan. Does this signal maybe a new commitment by NASCAR to try everything and anything to showcase their product, not only to established fans, but also to motorsports enthusiasts wherever they may be?
Well, first, I mean, going back to the beginning part of your question there. I mean, the France family obviously has done something right over the years, and they've been pretty spot on when it comes to taking risks. And whether it's Bill France Sr., Bill France Jr., Jim France, Lisa, and obviously Ben, which is really, he's the brainchild behind this, Ben Kennedy. The idea of taking it to the LA metro area, we've been obviously working here in Southern California for many years through Auto Club Speedway, but there's a lot of people in the metro area that haven't experienced this sort of type of racing before, or racing period. So the idea is to bring our sport to them and hopefully create a platform for them to enjoy it and understand it and absorb it for the first time and create fans out of them. So right now, about 60% of our ticket sales are new fans. So it's working. And so, our TV partners are super excited. Everybody's super excited about doing it. And I will say, I mean, you've given me the credit for running this thing. There's such a huge group of people, way more talented than I am, that are doing this. And it's taken an army to put it on. And we've still got a lot of work to do, but so far it's been a lot of fun. And we're looking forward to having people there.
So how do you, as the head of that 2 mile behemoth, right there just outside of the old Alcoa aluminum plant in what we call the Inland Empire of Southern California, the Auto Club Speedway. How do you parlay that enthusiasm that you've just recounted to us about this upcoming event? How do you parlay that into more butts in the seats when you finally return to NASCAR Cup racing after a COVID-19 mandated hiatus?
Yeah, I mean, it's been almost 2 years. I mean, when we go back racing on February 27th, for the Wise Power 400 at Auto Club, that'll be the first time we've been on track since 2020. We got our race in, as you probably remember, right before the COVID thing hit. So we've been down for quite a long time. We've been back up. We were actually considered an essential facility. We parked a lot of cars on site to get them out of the ports and help with that. And we've been back operating with track rentals and different events and things like that. But, it'll be cool to see the cars back on track of the 2 mile. That's the cool thing about the Clash and the Auto Club event. Two completely different styles of racing. You got high speeds versus low speeds. You've got, door to door on both tracks, but you can go 5 wide at our track versus the bull ring, which will be tight at 2. So, I think 2 different forms of racing. I think for a new fan, look, it'd be a lot to ask to say, hey, come to the Clash and then come 3 weeks later to Auto Club this year, but they might come to Auto Club the following year or the year after that. So, or start to watch more on Fox and our TV partners. So, it's just exposing them to the sport, as and with a lot of us. I mean, I was exposed to the sport at a very young age through my dad, and that's how it took, and it just grabbed a hold of me and has never left. So I've always felt like if you can get someone to any racetrack, I don't care if it's a dirt track, a short track, a bull ring, a big track, any type of racing, it usually will grab them and they'll become some sort of fan and consume it in some way.
Yeah, you alluded to the fact your dad was a racer and you were exposed to it via the short track side of things. So I would think that you've got to absolutely be beside yourself about what's forthcoming this coming weekend there in downtown Los Angeles. Boy, has that got a ring to it. So you care to make any predictions there, my friend?
Oh my gosh. All I can predict is it will be an electric atmosphere, and it is a must-see event. And I'm sure for those that can't see it, they're going to have a heck of an experience on Fox watching it. So it's definitely a must-see event within downtown LA. And it is even in the beginning when I was talking to friends in LA, they couldn't quite wrap their head around it. It's like, wait a second, you're saying you're racing in on the football field part of the Coliseum? Yeah, we're laying asphalt down and we are racing. So there will be a quarter mile, a 2.5 degree banked racetrack there with safer barriers and fences, just like we normally would have. Obviously, it's a little different format than you'll see at Auto Club Speedway. We won't have pit stops in anger, so to speak, but you'll see qualifying, you'll see heat races, you'll see a last chance qualifier, and you'll see basically a main event, which is your local Friday, Saturday night short track shows. So I can't wait for either one of the races. I'm so ready to get back to racing here in Southern California, and we're lucky enough that NASCAR thinks so much of the market. This is a big market for us. It's our number 1 market that we race in. It's the number 2 media market in the country, but it's the number 1 market for NASCAR fans. And February is just a busy month of racing.
And neither can we wait for it either, because it is going to be something unique, a twofer, as we like to say. And we haven't even added the fact with the concert by Pitbull. So it's going to be wild and woolly. And I, just like you, I'm looking forward to it. Good luck this weekend, and then good luck when you open up the gates at Auto Club Speedway in just a handful of weeks. And I do appreciate catching up with you right here on Wind Tunnel.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you, Jack.